Yeah, we just been stopped here, guys, at 6.0. How to write the code. We don't have two classes here. We have only one class, program class. And under that, you'll find a statement where app is equals to builder dot build. And before this build, what you're required to do? You're required to write all the code for configure services. And after build, you're required to write the code for configure. We have two separate methods, configure services and configure, that will be in one project only right now, one file only. And above and below, you just required to write up the code. Yeah, first watch. This is yeah, this is the project what we created in 5.0. Now let us create the same project in 7 now. 6 and 7 both are same. Okay, no difference in architecture. From 6 only it got changed. Right now, whenever we are working on 7. So watch, create a new project. The same MVC project I'm creating now in 7. Okay, I'm selecting ASP.NET Core Web App, Model View Controller. Okay, click on the next button. 7. Click next. Now, what you'll choose here? 7. Okay, and afterwards, just configure for HTTPS, leave it. Okay, and come below and just also make sure this checkbox is selected. What? Do not use top level statements. Do not use top level statement. Otherwise, you won't find even the class code there. Okay, so better select the do not use top level statements and click on the create button. So notice we don't have startup. Remaining all the same. We don't have startup. What we have is only program. In program, watch. Here we have where app builder.build. Correct? Above this, what you require to write? All the code for configure services. Below this, what you require to write? Do you remember the code in the program class, guys? If you remember the code in the program class, it'll call you the method, afterwards build and run. Correct? So build, when you call build, what will happen? It will take all the configure services method and all the things, and run will take all the configure. In the sense, watch it. All the code above build is configure services. And see the last line here? Run. See here, it is calling build also. It is calling run also. See the same thing here. It is calling build. When build, it will take what? Configure services now. When it run, what it will take? Configure. Same. See, if you're coming here, see above build, what is present? Configure services. After build, configure. All the configure code will be there. So no need of writing two separate files now. Only one file. What is it? Program. And in the program, here write all the configure services code. And here, why I explained 5.0 first is, you need to get a clarity. Directly if I open 7.0, and now how can I say what code should I write above build and what code should I write below build now? Because you understand 5.0, there are two separate methods. One is configure services, what to write in configure services, what to write in configure method. Now it became easy for me to demonstrate what all the code in the configure services should be above, and all the code below in the configure method should be below. This is all the configure code up to here. And finally, run will run here the project. Okay. So that is how the things are built for you. Oh, what's this closed? That's it. Yeah. Yes, guys. This is how it creates. But if at all we do not use top level statement, then you'll get a class also. We'll be getting a class also in this case now. Name project using 6.0. Just a minute. Name project is created using .NET 6 and above. Then we will not find the class startup. Over there, the project has single main method, code if required, define under main method only without explicitly defining the class. Directly write the code in the code. Just a minute here. Okay. Just have a look. Yeah, this is what it writes. If we still want to see the class while creating the project, in the window where we select the framework version, select the checkbox. Do not use top level statement, so that you will find the code within with a class and main method also. With a class and main method also. Class also will be there, main method. To test that, create a new MVC application project, naming it as MVC. The previous one is MVC project 5, right? Now we are creating core MVC, not MVC. It is core MVC project 7. Specify the location to save it. You know all these things. MVC 7. And in the window where we choose target framework, what you'll do? Select what? .NET 7.0 standard term support. Okay. And also select the checkbox. Which one? Configure for HTTPS and click on the create button. HTTPS and also one more thing. And what is it, guys? Do not use do not use top level statements. Do not use top level statements. Select the check boxes. Two check boxes. Configure for HTTPS and do not use top level statements. Click on create. Which creates a project without a startup class, and code under program class will be as following. You'll find the code like this now. Completely. What you'll get now? Namespace, program, and all these things. Okay. If you don't select the top level elements, this is how the class will be. Are you clearer or not? If you don't select the top level element, this is how the class will be present. So better what you do? Choose the option. Do not use top level element, so that you'll find the code perfectly inside of it, how you can just organize the things. Okay. So this is all about how okay. This is all about how it organizes the content for you in the 7.0 framework, in the 6.0 as well as 7.4 framework. And this is a guideline for you. Everything for configure services should be above this line, and everything for configure should be below this line. Okay, next. The next thing what we are going to understand here is about why do we have a main method in ASP.NET Core? Why do we have a main method in ASP.NET Core? Guys, I was explaining about this in the last class to you all. What is that? Our ASP.NET Core applications will first start as console application. They'll be starting as a console application. And later, these applications will be converted into web applications. So first, they will be starting as console application and later convert into web applications. Okay, read this, guys. The most important point that you need to keep in mind is an ASP.NET Core web application initially starts as a console application. And the main method is an entry point to that application. You know about the main method. Main method is always an entry point for any application now. You know that or not? So main method will be the entry point for every application. So every application is going to start its execution from the main method. Okay. So I repeat, guys, every application is going to start its execution from the main method, and that main is going to be the entry point for all the applications here. Okay, the main is going to be the entry point for all the applications. So execution is going to start from that particular main method. When we execute ASP.NET Core application, first it looks for, and this is the method from where the execution starts. Main method will configure ASP.NET Core and starts it. And at that point of time, the application becomes a web application. If you look at the body of main method, there we find that it calls it makes a call to create host builder method by passing the command line argument as a parameter value. And the code in the main method will be as following. Like this, it is calling create host builder now. Yes or not? Okay. And within the main method on this iOS builder object, the build method is called, which builds a web host. Then it hosts our ASP.NET Core within the web host. Final and the web host. Web host means web server. Host, who will host the application? Server. It calls the run method, which will run the web application, and it starts listening to the incoming request. Okay, for your understanding, here I'm writing. It's nothing but the web server. It is going to host on the web host. Web host is nothing but a web server. Finally, on the web host, again, web host means web server. It calls the run method. It calls the run method and will run the web application, and it starts listening to the incoming requests. It is going to start the incoming request now. Now I'm ready. I'm ready to listen the calls what are coming on my particular port. On my port. Every server runs on a port number. You know that? Yes or not? That's what exactly we are performing in this. So point, remember always, tomorrow someone asks you this question in the interviews. Why do you find a main method? What should be your answer? These applications will first start as a console application. Once after starting as a console application, they will be hosted on, they will be converted into web application and hosted on a server. Once hosted on a server, they will start running now. They will start running. Okay. I just missed a thing. First, it will start as a console application. Are you clear? Then it will configure for the web. It will configure it as a web application, converts into web, hosts them on the server, and starts it on the server. And once it starts, it will be listening to the incoming requests now that are coming now. So that's why you'll be finding up a main method inside of it. You'll be finding a main method inside of the appropriate thing. That's why exactly a main method is required for you inside of it. Okay. And lastly, the last thing in this particular architecture discussion is, the last point in our architecture discussion is, our ASP.NET Core applications have two different hosting models. Our ASP.NET Core applications will have two different hosting models. So what are these hosting models, and what do they mean by two different hosting models here? Okay, so let me explain you. What about the hosting model and what is this hosting model is all about? See, guys, see, configuration and setting up the in a create default builder. Create default builder is a method it is calling here. See, It is calling here. It is calling up this particular method. What the method? Create default builder. Say, this create default builder is the method which is going to host our application on the server. I repeat, this method, which method? The method is called DSC, all of you. This is the method which is responsible for hosting on a server. Hosting on a server. ASP.NET Core web applications can be hosted in IS Express, IS, or Kestrel. Already I explained you this in the previous session to you. And supports two different hosting models. What are those? First one, in process. Second one, out of process. The first one is going to be the in process hosting model, and the second one is going to be the out of process hosting model. Two different hosting models are supported. What is in process? What is out process? I'll explain about both the two things for you. Okay. Meanwhile, by default, it is in process hosting model. By default, it is in process hosting model. Then what is out of processor? I'll tell you. I'll show you practically what is out of process. Hold on first. When we create a new ASP.NET Core MVC application, by default, it is created as in process hosting model for hosting the application in IS or IS Express or Kestrel, any of the three. Either IS or IS Express or Kestrel. To verify that, open project properties window. And in that, in the left-hand side, select the option. What option? Debug. And in the right, click on Open Debug Launch Profiles UI. Last class I shown you this, which opens a window. And in that, select on left-hand side. And on the right, we find hosting model option, which is the default value is in process. So guys, observe. Go to project properties. In the left-hand side, select debug. Debug. Now here you will be finding an option, open debug launch profiles UI. Click on it. And once you click on it, in this you select IS Express and come below. And here you will be finding up the option hosting model is in process. Are you clearer or not? It will be showing you the hosting model is in process. So the default hosting model is in process hosting model. Okay. But still we have the confusion. What is in process hosting model? Okay. I'll explain you. In case of in process hosting model, create host builder method will see the value as in process. First it will check now. When you call the create host builder will host it on the server now. Now it will check the value. What is the value? In process. Will internally host the application inside IS worker process. What is IS worker process? Remember, W3 WP.exe. We explained about worker process and all the things to you. What is the name of the worker process for IS? W3 WP.exe. What is the worker process name for IS Express? IS Express.exe only. That also is shown you here. In the window, in this particular, which one? Task manager, if you're running in IS Express, here it will show you IS Express.exe. If you're running in IS, it will show you W3WP.exe. That is going to be our worker process which will run the code. And if at all you work with Kestrel, the name of the worker process is your project name.exe. What is that? Project name.exe. All observe, guys. Where am I running? Run once. If you go to task manager, you'll be finding a that is your worker process. You remember the worker process or not? Every application runs inside an application pool. Every application pool has a worker process. All the things I explained to you. So what is the name? If you run in Kestrel, it won't be IS Express. What will it be? Project name. Observe, guys. Change to Kestrel. How to change? core MVC project 5. Okay. Is it running? Yeah. Stop it once. Restart. Now you see, you won't find isexpress.exe now. You won't find IES Express. What you'll find? Core MVC project 5.exe. All of you observe. And check it out. Check yourself, man. IES Express is not there in the list now. That is the worker process. That is the worker process which will run the code. So what will create default builder method do? It will see the value as in process. In case of in process hosting, create host builder when sees the value as in process. When see the value as in process, will internally host the application inside. That is, or sorry, for IES Express, next, for IES, and in case of Kestrel, we did not run on IES. If you run on IES, it will be W3WP. You already know this. I will show you how to run on IES. Okay, by default, Visual Studio uses IES Express to run web applications in and Kestrel to run in. Yeah, guys, watch all of you. Observe. Yesterday, I shown you default is going to be IES Express. Do you remember or not? Yes or not? What's your STS project 5? So default is IES Express. Okay. But guys, if you're working on core, if you're working on 7, I'm sorry, if you're working on 7, the default is not IES Express. The default is Kestrel. The default is Kestrel. From 6.2 onwards, the default is changed to Kestrel. And you can observe, it will launch you the Kestrel server. Yeah. Command window open means Kestrel running now. See, it opens you the Kestrel server and launches your application. Array, anything can be changed here. I'm telling what is the default value for us. If you're working until 5, the default value is IES Express. If you're working from 6, the default value is Kestrel. You can see the port numbers. 7013 is the port number. Yesterday in the 5, we saw 5000, 5001. Here, I don't know which port will come. Random port assignment is done there. That's all. Okay. So 7013, you can see the address bar. Are you clear? And if you want, you can go to Task Manager. Now you should find core. See there. Are you clearer or not? Understood me? Okay. So both are just going to be present. Sorry. It is running for you in this. Okay. So guys, did you understand this point? Here. This one. By default, Visual Studio uses IES Express to run web applications in web applications, not in. Let me change it as up to ASP.NET Core 5.0 and Kestrel to run ASP.NET Core from 6.0. Web applications from 6.0. Array, we can change to IES Express. Default settings, I'm telling you, that's all. What is IES Express? You all know that IES Express is a lightweight, self-contained version of IES, which is designed for web application development. The most important point that you need to remember is we use IES Express only in development, not in production. And in production, we generally use IES. Okay, na? So we don't use IES Express basically when you go to production. It is only IES what we use in production. We already learned about IES Express long back only. Now, read. You know IES Web Server. how to run. We don't know that one. We don't know how to run in. We don't know how to run in where. Well, like if at all you just wanted to run this in the IES, how to run, we don't know. MVC 5 projects may simply create virtual directory button. We click, it will come up. But here it is a different process. That's why I listed you. Watch carefully. Internet Information Services, IIS, is a flexible, secure, and manageable web server for hosting anything on the web. To host our ASP.NET Core web applications on IIS web server, first open Visual Studio in administrator mode. You know that policy, na? Yes. Staging also IIS only. Staging also IIS only. See, IIS Express will run only from Visual Studio. When you go to staging environment, why will Visual Studio be there? Are you testing for a tester? Visual Studio is installed? Not installed. So staging means directly open the browser and testing. Okay. So again, what we use is IIS on. IIS on. Okay. Fine. Say to host your ASP.NET Core web application on IIS web server, first open administrator mode. Go to select debug tab in left hand side. Same one. Open debug launch profiles UI. Are you clear? Okay. Watch, guys. Actually, I have two projects here. One in 7, one in 5. Are you clear? I am closing off both of them because I need to run them on administrator mode. Okay. Well, first we will host 5. Next we will host 7 also. Same process only. No difference. Have a look, guys. Right click. Run as administrator. Hussein Basha, I already answered this particular question. Why it starts as a console application? To run it on Linux. Tomorrow, if at all you want to run on Linux, Linux is not pure GUI. 90% it is CUI only. So if at all you want to make it cross-platform and run on Linux environment, they just designed it to start like a console first and convert into web. Yeah, first I'm opening 5. Okay. Now what you'll do, go to debug. Open debug launch profiles UI. Now there are 2 profiles here. What are the 2 profiles? See. Okay, now. And here you have a button. What is that? What profile? IIS is a new profile I want. Okay. Just give a name for it, guys. What name? IIS. IIS profile is created. Now, after creating that, you're required to set up some few things here. See, IIS Express is selected. What we have? Environment variable. Correct now? Same way for IIS also, we need the same thing only. Environment variable. Okay, I given it here list here. And environment variable text box. Enter this. Next, check the launch browser. Launch browser. Next, in the app URL now. Enter your URL now. HTTP localhost. And what is it? Your project name, guys? Your project name only na virtual directory name. What is your project name? Core MVC project 5. Or if you are hosting 7, just put it up. Okay. So do the thing. Leave rest of the options as is and close the window. Now in the standard toolbar under debug target drop down list, by default it will be showing IIS Express in ASP.NET Core 5.0 and project name in from ASP.NET Core. Change it to IIS and run the project and watch the URL in the address bar. Now, if we open the launch settings.json file, We will find some changes made to the file also. Okay. Well, guys, I'll show you. Yeah, done it. Now observe. IIS came in the list now. Now selecting IIS and running in IIS. IIS settings are missing the app URL. Enter na? Oh, sorry. Not here, guys. It should be app URL. Not URL, app URL. Just a minute. Nothing, guys. Actually, in the tools menu, you know this now, get tools and features. Individual component, not individual components. Here you'll find an option, ASP.NET and web development. This checkbox is not selected by me. You find the problem, this is what the solution. It is telling you, you did not enable. Show you again. Hold on. Run, read. Development time, IIS support component through the Visual Studio installer. Okay, so just open the installer. You know how to open the installer? Tools menu, get tools and features. Don't go to individual components. In the first one only. Workloads only. In the workloads only, on the right side. IIS support. One time you do, next time onwards, it works. Just updating. Let it update. Wait. Oh, it did not open in admin mode, na? I click run as administrator. Five. Running an IAS now. Check the URL. And in IAS, we'll have no port number. What do we have? The virtual directory name. You'll have the virtual directory name. Port numbers won't be there. Without confusion now. Why? Generally, when a port number only, what port number will come is a confusion. But port number won't be there. What you have is only a virtual directory name. Okay, just a minute, guys. This is for core MVC project 5 and per 7. Yeah, under app URL text box, enter the value as okay. Okay, we have two separate projects now. That's it. Both of them I said you. If it is 5, this value. If it is 7, this value. Just set up that particular value there. Okay. So watch, guys. Now I'm hosting the 7 project also there. Tell me the process. Open in the admin mode first. Open our project. Tell me, what should I do? Solution Explorer, properties, debug, open debug, launch profiles UI, create a profile, IS, next, Under environment variable, what you'll add? The environment variable is development. Come below, you'll find app URL, and the app URL, enter the app URL now. So what is the app URL? HTTP localhost. What is the project name, guys? Core MVC project 7. Okay, project 7. Just to simply close this, and now you will find IIS. Select IIS, run. Oh, we did not select the checkbox. Huh? Launch browser checkbox is not selected. Not launching. We did not select the launch browser checkbox. It's not launching the browser area. We need to select the checkbox, launch browser. Yeah, running on IIS. And you can open your INET IIS manager and go to sites, default website. Both are host. Is that clear? Okay. So this is how you can just host it on IIS. Okay. Come back. Yes. What is the IIS web server? And how to run ASP.NET Core web applications in? Am I clear, or all of you? What you require to do in the environment variable, mention development. Checkbox, launch browser. App URL, enter this URL. Okay, what next? Leave rest of the options as is and close the window. Now in the standard toolbar under debug target drop-down list, we find it'll be showing IIS Express and project name for change it to and run the project and watch the URL. Run the project, change it to IIS, run the project and watch the URL in address bar. You just keep watching the URL in the address bar. Now, if we open the launch settings.json file, we'll find some changes made to the file. What changes, sir? Already explained about launch settings. Do you remember? Okay, let me open the launch settings file once. Check, guys. IIS Express, it was writing for you. IIS also, it was writing. Added. Command name. Launch browser. What is that command name? Profile name we given here. IIS. That is what the command name is. Launch browser is true. And environment variable is going to be the development environment. And here also, you can see it was mentioning you a similar type now. IIS Express environment variable is development here also. And what about the URL? URLs you can see under IIS settings. Under IIS settings, you can find up your URL. This is your URL. Are you clear? Okay, you will find both the two files modified. You can just go and verify in both the two projects. You'll find the modified changes in that. Yeah, it'll add you this one. Am I clear? What next? What is Kestrel Web Server and how to run ASP.NET Core web applications in Kestrel Web Server? As we already know that ASP.NET Core is cross-platform framework, which means it supports us to develop and run our applications on different operating systems such as Windows, Linux, and Mac. The Kestrel is a cross-platform web server for ASP.NET Core apps, which means this web server supports all the platforms and versions that ASP.NET Core supports. By default, it is included as an internal web server, in .NET Core applications. This is the internal web server. Just like for us, IIS Express is the internal web server. This is the internal web server right now. For Windows, both will work. But if you go on Mac or Linux, then only Kestrel will be there. Only Kestrel. Tomorrow, you're building this application on Mac. Mac as a Visual Studio. You can. But their IES Express won't be there. What we'll be finding is only Castle Web Server for testing. Okay. The Castle Web Server generally used as an edge server. That is the internet facing server, which directly process incoming HTTP requests from the clients. In case of Castle Web Server, the process name that is used to host and run the ASP.NET Core is a project name only. And to check that, open launch settings.json file, and we will find this below code there. Is a code what you will find there. Are you clear? This is a code what you are finding basically in this. Under profile settings, we find three profiles: IES Express, our project name, and IES, which we have created explicitly. IES Express profile is used to run the application under, and we find the IES settings on the top of launch setting.json file, and the application URL is something. Array, I mentioned it based on this particular existing file, or otherwise I'll remove this. I'll say port. Port number. Okay. Port number will vary from project to project and machine to machine. You know that. Okay. We also find SSL port as 0 because we did not create the project. Okay. Sorry, guys. I said for this. We created. We'll also find SSL port with some value because we created our project for HTTPS protocol. HTTPS protocol. Okay. Yeah. Next, core MVC project profile is used to run the application by using the Castle Web Server. And application URL will be 5000 and 5001 if SSL option has been selected by using while creating the project. Yeah, we selected. Nah? That's why we will find both the two things. 5000 also, 5001 also. Yeah, you'll find both the two things. Just a minute. Okay. Yeah, 5000, 5001. If SSL option has been selected by us while creating the project. Okay. In the standard toolbar under debug target drop-down list of Visual Studio, we find IES Express selected by default. So when we hit F5 and run the project, it will run using, and the browser address bar, we see the port number, which is shown in launch settings.json file. We can change the profile from IES Express to core MVC project so that the application runs on Castle Web Server. And now we see the port number as 5000 or 5001. And notice that it will launch a new command window running the Castle Web Server on port number 5 and 5000, provided HTTPS option is selected. Yeah, we have done it already. I'm only telling you what I explained to you already. All I shown you, separate console window is open, showing the port numbers to you. Everything explained to you already. I'm again just listed you in the notes. That's all. We can also run ASP.NET Core applications from the command line also by using .NET Core CLI, which will use Kestrel as web server. That's what I'm telling you. Tomorrow, if you want to run your application on Linux, how to run? There is no IES. Did you catch my point or not? There is no IES there now. How to run? How to run this? We're going to run it from the command window. Okay. So guys, watch it. I am closing the Visual Studio. So assume like we don't have a Visual Studio now. and I want to run my .NET application now. I want to run my .NET. Tomorrow, end user won't install Visual Studio. End user won't install Visual Studio now. You want to run the application now. How do you run? Watch, guys. This is the mechanism how you should run your applications going forward on Linux machines. Okay. Open the developer command prompt, all of you, and go to the project location. Come on, tell me what's your personal folder? D drive, MVC 11, core MVC project 5, core MVC project 5. That is your project folder. That is your project folder. Go there and use a command. What is the command? .NET run. .NET run. Launches you the Kestrel. See, it's building. No problem. It is out of support version. So it is telling. See now, Kestrel is launched. Okay. Now what you'll do? It won't open browser. You open the browser. Enter the URL now. HTTP localhost colon HTTP. Yes. This is how you run on the Linux machines now. Are you clear? So when you are running on Linux, IS won't be there. Only Kestrel. We should run the Kestrel. How to run the Kestrel? .NET run. When you said .NET run, you can see it launches the Kestrel. Clear? Just a second. Seven. Now it should not show that messages to you now. What message? Out of support message. Earlier we got out of support message. Now we did not get it. Why? I'm using the latest. You can check it out. What is the port? 5242. Your port is 5242, where you can just run your Kestrel. Open the browser and run it. It executes too. Is that clear, all of you? Okay. So like this, we can just run it from the command window also. We can run our application on the command. So simple code, .NET run. That's all. Once we type the .NET run command and press the enter key, .NET Core CLI builds and runs the application. It shows the URL to access the application also. Okay. If you remember those ports configured in of our core MVC project profile, which is nothing but the profile for Kestrel web server. Now open the browser and navigate to the appropriate location provided. HTTPS option is selected while project creation. Yeah, we done it. I just given a warning to you, that's all. Yes, we already selected HTTPS only. No problem. Now, till now, we ran our application in IIS Express, IIS, and all these three are in process hosting only. Now, let us learn about. I did not tell about how to process it till now. Yeah, what I taught you is only in process. What is it? Run under IIS or IIS Express or Kestrel. Now, we have a concept called out of process hosting. What is that, sir? Before showing you that out of process, let me tell you, explain you about it first. Tomorrow, I'm going to run my application on Linux now. So the only option for me is Kestrel. Kestrel is like IIS Express. Kestrel is like IIS Express. We cannot do any security settings there. It doesn't have any console window. IIS Express doesn't have any console window. And remember when I explained you authentication authorization, compulsory what I said, first host it on IIS, then only you can change all the settings I said. Yes or not? When you host an IIS only, authentications, authorizations, all these things can be enabled. So there is no console window for IIS Express to do the settings now. Same problem with Kestrel also. Kestrel also doesn't provide you any console window now. Are you getting me? Okay. So it doesn't have security features. It doesn't have security features like IAS. I repeat, guys, it doesn't have security features like IAS. Just like IAS, it is not going to have any security features. So the problem what we have right now is, the problem what we'll be facing right now in this context is, because it doesn't have the security features, what will be the headache now? Tomorrow, when you're running on Linux machine now, how do I set authentication and authorizations now? Kestrel will run there, but how to set authentication and authorization now? Are you clearer? That's why when you're running on Linux machine and all, we have a double security, means a double server. We use two servers now. One is any WebLogic or a Tomcat web server, a Tomcat web server or a WebLogic server. IS cannot be installed on Linux. IS cannot be installed on Linux. If IS can be installed on Linux, I don't require Kestrel now. All this problem is because IS cannot be installed on Linux. IS can be installed only on Windows. Tomorrow on Linux, IS won't work. Then we have other servers, WebLogic server, Tomcat web server. These are some popular servers in the market. Just like IS is popular, we have other servers like popular in the market like WebLogic, Tomcat, okay, Nginx. So many servers are there. GWS, Google Web Server. All these servers can be installed on Linux now. So what will they do? They use two servers. One server is the internet facing server. Internet facing server means all the requests will come to that server now. What is that server? Either WebLogic or Tomcat or Nginx, any of this server. And the second server is where the application runs. And that is nothing but your Kestrel. That is nothing but your Kestrel. So the user request doesn't come to Kestrel directly now. The user request will first come to the internet facing server. And that internet facing server will take you to Kestrel. Kestrel will process, send the result back to internet facing server. Internet facing server will send the results to the end users. Two servers, one for controlling everything, one for executing. If it's IES, both are done by IES only. What is it? Controlling also, execution also. Did you catch my point? Yes or not? Controlling, execution, both will be done by IES. But tomorrow, if at all you want to security settings cannot be enabled on Kestrel. So that's why we use two servers. One server is for controlling everything. One server is to run the application. You'll have a doubt here. Sir, can't I run the application directly on WebLogic? No, you can't. Why? .NET application doesn't run on other servers. Understand here, this is the biggest problem. See, when you're deploying, till now your development, but once we go to deployments and all, 100 headaches will be there. You will like you want a software, that software may not run on that particular OS. All these are challenges. All these are the challenges what we come across in the real time now. What is that? IS cannot be installed on Linux. Linux cannot run .NET application. Are you getting me? Okay. Why? Because IS cannot be installed on Linux. So what to do? I will install Tomcat. But Tomcat also cannot run .NET application. Tomcat also cannot run .NET application. So to run the .NET application, you have Kestrel. Kestrel will run. Processing and everything will be done. Results will come to Tomcat. Tomcat will send the results to the end users. And this Tomcat, what it will do? It will be the internet facing server. Your authentications, authorizations, everything will be done under the Tomcat. But execution won't happen in Tomcat. Execution is happening on the Kestrel. If you run your application like this, that is called as out-of-process hosting model. That is called as out-of-process hosting model. All of you have a look. The first one is in process. Second one is out of process. Watch it. This is the Kestrel. And here running your application code now. And now directly Kestrel is taking the request. What is that? In process. Right now, straight away you're running on Kestrel now. That is in process. It will work on Windows. But tomorrow if you go to Linux or somewhere, this process won't work. So what to do? Watch this. There's a Kestrel. ASP.NET Core application is running here. And this is the reverse proxy or the internet facing server, what we call reverse proxy or internet facing server. Who will take the request like Nginx, Apache. So IIS is also there. Yeah, and Windows we can run like this. Not on Linux. If it's Linux, Nginx, Apache. On Windows, sir, IIS can run directly applications now. You can run, but option is there. It was telling you this option is also there. What is it? IIS will be the internet facing and Kestrel will be the executing server. Option is there, but no need. If you are working with Windows here, we don't require a Kestrel. Directly we can work on IIS. Are you clear? So here you'll be confused. Sir, IIS is also there, Kestrel is there. This is confusing, you'll feel. I'll tell you why I shown you like this. I'm telling you on Linux, two servers will run. One is Nginx or Apache, and the second one is Kestrel. And you ask me, show me, sir, how two servers will work. How can I show you now? I don't have a Linux environment now. I can show that on Windows only for you now. How? The internet facing server will be IIS and your application will work on Kestrel. Are you clearer or not? What is that? The internet facing server is IIS, but the one who is taking the request is Kestrel. How do I do that? How can I do that? Watch. Open the project once. What is the hosting model value now? In process, yeah. Shown you already, na? The hosting model is in process. I opened it in the property window. I shown you that already. The hosting model is in process. Shall we change it? We can change in two places. One, we can change in the property window. Two, you can change in your this file also. Which file? I forgot the file name. Your project file also we can edit. Right click. You know this window now? A startup object we used to set now. That window only, startup object window. Okay. And here only you can write what? ASP.NET Core hosting model. What do you want? In process or out of process? Out of process. Why? Already we tested in process till now. Nah? What is that? All of you carefully concentrate. We are using out of process now. Okay, now? And here I selected core MVC project. Concentrate on this carefully. What I selected? Core MVC project. Miss Kestrel, na? Now, when you write here out of process and select core MVC project, it will behave like in process only. What is it? Who takes the request is also Kestrel only. Who will process the request is also Kestrel only. Are you getting me? No difference. So this is same as in process. This is same as, but I mentioned out of process. You mentioned out of process and telling to run on Kestrel. So it doesn't have two servers now. How many servers? One only. It will have only one server. How to verify that, sir? Open the task manager, guys. Open the task manager, all of you. Go to details. Okay. First, you see the Kestrel? Yes or not? Let us check IIS Express is running or not. No. No. Let us check W3WP. Yeah, W3WP is also not there now, see? We don't find both the two things now. Yes or not? Okay. Now, what you'll do, change here to IIS Express. Are you clear? Now, out of process comes into action. What is it? The reverse proxy means the internet facing server is IIS Express, but the processing server is Kestrel. Run. See the address bar first. Look at this and tell me on which server are you running? IS Express, now there is a port number of IS Express, what we saw already in the property file. That is the IS Express. Okay, all of you go to Task Manager and just observe, man. Kestrel is running or not? Running, check yourself. 2 servers are running. Alright, till now either or only we saw. First I shown you either that, either this. But now you see both now. Yes or not? Who is the edge server? Who is the internet facing server? IS Express. What is the other name for it? Reverse proxy server. What is that? Reverse proxy. Now also W3WC is not there. Why? IS is not launched. Okay. One more time. Oh, I closed up this window also. Let's go for IS. Let's go for IS. Run. Again, there are 2 servers. Guys, observe. Kestrel is running or not? Okay, let us see IS Express is running or not. No, IS Express is not running. IS is running. Are you clear? Okay, tomorrow, this is the day the applications will run on Linux machines. Are you clear? So they will have 2 servers. One is Nginx or Apache or Tomcat. Tomcat is also an option. And the second one is the Kestrel. The second one is the Kestrel. Kestrel will only execute the application. And securities and all will be taken care by Nginx or Tomcat or Apache servers. Okay. Because I don't have a Linux environment, I cannot show you on Linux. I shown you the architecture to you on Windows only with the help of IIS to you. That is the reason why in the picture I have shown you as IIS. But general question will be, when IIS is there, what is the need of Kestrel again? Not required, but just out of process. I want to explain you what is out of process. That is why I shown you this like this. Is it clear? Have a look, man. Yeah. So what are we talking? Yeah, where we started the discussion here. Yeah. Until then, say, till now, even we ran our application in IS Express or all these are. And now let's learn in out of process hosting model. Out of process hosting. To run the application in out of process, we need to configure it either in the project file or under debug option of project property. You know the debug option project properties file. That's why I shown you new thing to you. What is the new thing? Project file. You know project file, there we can change it. See, configuring in project file. In Solution Explorer, right click on the project, select the option which will open core MVC project 5.csproj file in the document window. Okay. The file is an XML file and we need to add hosting model tag under property group tag with a value out of process as shown below. Is how you do it. We need to add that in XML file, you know, you learned in C# only. That's why just to remove that particular content. It's an XML file. So just remove that particular information there. That's all. Okay. We need to add the code below. What is that? ASP.NET Core hosting model out of process. Next. You can do in project property window also. Where? Hosting model in? By default, it is in process. I already shown you. Go there and change it. Anytime, anywhere you can change it. Just to give you an idea, both the 2 options, I shown you how to change in the first file and how to change in the second file. Both the 2 places, I just shown you how to change. Okay. Next. What is out of process hosting in ASP.NET Core? In case of ASP.NET Core, out of process hosting model, there will be 2 web servers. First one. That is fixed. That is fixed. What is fixed? One is fixed. What is one? That is fixed. You can't change that. Two. Any of these particular servers can be used. Okay. The very important point that we need to keep in mind is, depending on how you are running your application with the out of process hosting model, the external web server may or may not come into picture. What is this? Array, you said out of process, but you run on Kestrel, then second server won't come now. That's what it is telling. The very important point that you need to keep in the mind is how you are running your application with the out of process hosting model. The external web server may or may not come into picture. As we already discussed that, a Kestrel web server is a cross-platform web server that is already embedded with your ASP.NET Core application. So if you are using out of process hosting model for our ASP.NET Core application, that Kestrel web server can be used in one of the following ways. What is it? Option 1. We can use Kestrel web server as an internet facing web server, which will directly process the incoming HTTP request. And in this scenario, only web server, an external web server is not going to be used at all. So when we run the application using the .NET Core CLI, then Kestrel is the only web server that is going to be used to handle the process all the incoming HTTP requests. To test this, open developer command prompt and run the application as explained earlier. Already explained you earlier how to run that. Okay, and do that. And in this case, even if we specified the hosting model as out of process also, it hosts the application in Kestrel and it only will respond for the incoming request. Watch the picture carefully. Internet facing server is Kestrel only and processing server is also Kestrel only. Is that picture clear, all of you? There is no second server now. There is no second server. You have only one server. What is that? Kestrel. But I specified out of process. That only I'm telling you. Out of process doesn't mean that compulsory 2 servers should be there. You say out of process and how are you running the application? That will tell you second server will come into action or will not come into action. Option 2, the Kestrel web server. The Kestrel web server can also be used with the combination of a reverse proxy server such as IS Express, IS, Tomcat, Apache, Nginx. So many are there. So many are there. So many servers are there. Google web server, Lightspeed web server, n number of servers are in the market. Anything you can just use. When we run our ASP.NET Core directly from choosing IS or IS Express, setting the element as out of process, then IS or IS Express will be used as reverse proxy server and Kestrel is used as internal web server. To test this, go to startup.cs file in our project, import the namespace, and then in the configure method, we find app.use endpoints method, call, and we need to change the code of it. What is this? Actually, guys, you know this code already, as last class we saw now. By default, you'll see the code like this. What's it? Pattern. It is just going to a URL pattern, route pattern. Okay. Without routing anywhere, I want to display some message on the screen. First project, see hello world. There is no routing. There is no routing. Blank project. No view, nothing either. Directly on the output on the browser, it's shown you. I just wanted to display some output directly on the browser. What's it? Change the code like this. Simply I'm printing some message. I'm printing some message by calling a method called write async. What is that message? I'll tell you. Just copy this code, go to your project where program.cs. Oh, sorry. Startup.cs. I'm sorry. Startup.cs. And this is the code you find there here. Comment this. Comment this. And now in that place, write this code. Write this code. Okay. And basically this code will print you the information. What information, you know? Read this. System dot process dot process name. What is it? Array, nothing here. I shown you that is a task manager. From the task manager, it will read and print you the name of the process. What is it? isexpress.exe, w3wp.exe. That what it will show you. Without this, all the headache, directly open a task manager and show you all these things now. See, first case, one only running. Second case, two are running. Without that, I'm showing you on screen. That's all. Run this. What is the process who is executing the code? But see the address bar. IAS. See now, two servers visible to you now. What is that? In address bar, you can see that IAS. And here, what is it showing you? What is it showing you? Kestrel. Understood my point? Okay. Same way, choose IS Express here. Choose IS Express here. Okay. Run. See the address bar. Yes. Understood? Without opening a task manager, on screen only I shown you both the two options. Suppose, guys, you directly change this setting once. What? Which one? In process. What are you choosing here? IS Express. Any guess? Spelling mistake, huh? In hyphen processor. No. Remove this. Default is in process only. Check yourself. Who is the facing server? IS Express. Who is the processing server? Both are IS Express only. See now. Change to IS. What you'll see now? W3WP, not IS. W3WP, process name. You'll see process name. The process name is W3WP. See the address bar? Both are same now. And if at all I run in Kestrel, there also you'll see the same. Here also you'll see both. You'll be seeing the same one. See there. 5001 is Kestrel, and here also we saw Kestrel. Understood or not now? Pure in process now. It is in process. Okay. Watch. Out of process. Out of process. Okay. But what I selected? Kestrel. Now both are Kestrel only now. Who is processing the request? Who is taking the request? Both are Kestrel. See. Address bar 5001 Kestrel. And here also Kestrel. But selecting here IS. See the address bar IS Kestrel. Okay. See the address bar. IS Express Kestrel. Without this, you can see directly in the task manager if you want. Without task manager, I just changed the code to print the process name. How to get the process name? It is a namespace, guys. Process is a class. Get simple English, man. Get current process. Are you clear? In threading, we learned, see, get current thread. It'll get you the information of the current thread. Same way, it'll get you the information of the current process. Dot name of the process. What is the name of the process? Who is processing? Tell me the name of it. And that is name. What is it telling? Okay. Without writing all these things, if you are capable, directly open task manager and only check both. You can see both the two things. In outer process, you'll find only one in process. Okay. So fine, guys. This is the existing code. Yeah, this is the existing code, what you'll find there. And what you'll do, change this code here. All right, delete this and paste this here. It will print you the process name. Next, now set the outer process, either in the project property window or in the, and choose profile to run the project, which will display the process name as here also somewhere and not mention, guys. Somewhere print mistake. It's core MVC 5. Just make it. Here, huh? I'm telling with 5, you can test with 7 also. Anywhere else? Okay. Well, yeah. Now set the hosting model as outer process, either in the project property window or in project file, and then choose core MVC project profile to run the project, which will display the process name as MVC core project only, which means the Kestrel web server is processing our incoming request, directly, and the URL in the address bar is pointing to port number 5000 or 5001. It will be 5001 because we are running on HTTPS. So there is no reverse proxy server in usage. This is how it is running now. Outer process only, but no 2 servers. How many? 1. That is only the architecture now also. Now choose ISR profile and run the project, which will display the process name as core MVC project 5, which means the Kestrel web server is processing our incoming error. And if you watch the URL in the address bar, it will be pointing to IS or IS Express. So in this case, there is a reverse proxy server in usage, that is IS Express or IES, which is taking the incoming request, and Kestrel web server, which is processing the request. This is what. Are you clear? Okay. Finally, the last point. What is it? Now, the question that comes in our mind is, if Kestrel can be used by itself as a web server, which can directly handle and process the incoming HTTP request, why do we need a reverse proxy server again then? Are you clear what I said? Kestrel only can process everything now. Then what is the need of reverse proxy server again? Read the answer. Yeah, tomorrow you can use it as a load balancer now. You remember the web form architecture? Load balancer means the load balancer will be an IIS or NGIX or something, and your processing service will be Kestrel. You're hosted on 10 machines now. On all the 10 machines, what will be there? Kestrel. IIS will be the internet-facing server, which will be your load balancer. Next. So it's a good practice, good choice to use Kestrel web server along with the reverse proxy server. When we use Kestrel along with the reverse proxy server, there is a reverse proxy server will be receiving all the incoming HTTP requests from clients and then forwards those HTTP requests to processing. Once the Kestrel Web Server processes the request, it'll send a response back to reverse proxy server, which then sends a response back to requested client over the internet. Okay, that's a double security what it provides to you. That is why we use out of process hosting model. So this is also a new concept. So what is new now? One, let us sum up the things in a simple words, guys. Point number one, our ASP.NET Core application will first start as a console application. Yes or not? Later, it is configuring as a web application, hosts on a web server and runs there. Okay. Point number two. What is that? You just required to, it is completely modular. Whatever services you want or whatever pipelines you want, you need to do all the configurations manually on your own. Default, some will come, but additionally, you require to add all the services. And where to add the services? Configure service method. Where to configure the pipeline? Configure method. Pipeline, you understood now? The sequence. What first, what next? That is pipeline. Where? Configure method. Okay. Services? Configure services. Are you clear? What is the difference, sir? What is the difference is, let us take about the food example, what I said. First, you need to take whatever food you want. Yes or not? First, take what you want. I want a cup of rice. I want one or two rotis. I want some dal. I want some curry. Or I want some curd. Okay, na? And now you start eating. Now, when you start eating, or what you start eating is also important. Will you eat curd rice first? That is what important now. That is the secondary. First, you take all the things now. Now, how will you eat? Will you eat curd red first? And finally, will you go for eating these rotis and all? See, that sequence also is important now. What you eat first and what you eat next. That sequence is configure. Configure services is getting what you want. Configure is eating in order. In which order the food should be eaten now. Are you clearer? Okay. If you're working up to 5, we need to write all this code in startup class. If you're working on 6 and above, program class only. That's why in the notes here, I will show you completely 7 only. But in the notes, I given both codings. How to write in 5 also, how to write in 7 also. But what I'll show in the classroom is 7. If you want to work on 5, that code also I given to you in the notes. Is it clear? Okay. Point number 3. Here we have 3 servers to run our applications. What are the 3? IIS, IIS Express, Kestrel. And we have 2 different hosting models available. What are the 2? In-process hosting model, out-of-process hosting model. What is in-process hosting model? In-process hosting model means there will be only one server, which will be taking the incoming request and which will be processing the application. And this can be any of the 3. Second option, out-of-process hosting model. In out-of-process hosting model, there is a chance of having 1 or 2 servers. 1 or 2 servers. When will one server come into access? You're out of process, but running on Kestrel. Then it is going to be 1 server only. Okay. But you're out of process running on IIS or IIS Express. Then 2 servers will come into action. The first server is IIS or IIS Express, which will be the incoming request. And I said, this is the extra advantage. What is that? Securities and all the things. And also you can use it for as a load balancer. As a load balancer. All requests will come to IIS now. And now the Kestrel Web Server is the one where the web application runs. So this will be best suitable when we go with a web form architecture. When you're going with a web form architecture, Kestrel will run the applications. IIS will be the load balancing to you. Okay. But mostly we use this architecture when you are working on Linux machines, on the Linux machine, where your application will run on Kestrel and incoming requests are taken by Nginx or Apache or Tomcat or GWS or Lightspeed. Just Google for web servers in the market. What are the various web servers in the market? You'll get a big list of web servers, and which web server can be used on which operating system. You can find out that information also. IIS cannot be installed on Linux. It's pure Windows only server. Okay, fine. So these are the main things what we just learned. Are you clearer? Okay, I accept, guys, it will be confusing. The architecture is a bit confusing. First time, I too did not understand anything. I too did not understand. But that's usage. Going forward, we'll try to just get an idea. What is configure services? What is configure? And all these particular things will just get a clarity about all the things. Am I clearer? So read them once carefully. So next class Monday, I will create you an empty project first, and I will show you how to convert into MVC. I won't open MVC project. I will open empty project. I will convert into MVC. And if you understand the process, later tomorrow, you can convert that into web API also, or you can convert into web app also. Clear? And then we'll just go with adding controllers, models, and views. I won't explain again about controllers, models, and views, guys. We already learned all those things. I'll tell you exception handlings here, a new style of exception handling. Routing. Yeah, we learned about routing now. We have another new style of routing. I'll explain about everything new we'll see now. Okay, no more same control. And coming to NT framework core also, that is same only. But now we don't have model first. What we have is only code first, DB first. Code first and DB first on. Okay, we'll start with code first, and in code first only we'll build up a project. We'll see the project development also. Okay, let's stop here. We'll just meet on Monday. Permission. Yeah.